we can track down the enemy command center. So it better not break!
Keep your questions brief. You're here. Welcome to the Vulgus Munitions Factory. You've made quite the impression at Kingston. So much so, I was tempted to recruit you for Colon. But then again, the enemy isn't exactly a pushover. However, now that we have the guide as a strategic asset, I'm sure the trajectory of this war will change drastically. Shall we get started? Based on the coordinates provided by the guide, the Ironheart excavation site is near the enemy's industrial zone. Unfortunately, the exact location needs to be confirmed in person. The coordinates are based on data from the time of the ancestors, and there's a high probability that the topography today will look a little different. I'll do recon around the industrial zone. While I'm doing that, your mission is to create a diversion to draw the enemy's eyes away from me. Even though I have active camouflage, things will be much easier if you can hold the enemy's attention. I'll tell Jeremy to stay behind and provide operational support. Jeremy seems to be unable to link with the guide, so he won't be much use in finding the excavation site. He'll be better deployed using his RK teleportation abilities as support for your diversion operation. Let's get moving. We need to restore the guide's system as soon as possible.
What, me? Support? For crying out loud. Point. Guide! That's all everybody talks about these days. Since when did the higher-ups at Albion conduct operations based on the word of a spirit? Not to mention, excluding an excellent descendant like myself from this operation, everything's clearly going very well. Hey, you think it's funny I can't link with the guide? Alright then, let's consider which descendants aren't able to link with the guide right now. Let's see. It's only me and Alpha, yes? Looks to me like the commander of Albion and the strongest descendant are the only ones who are still sane. If I were you, I'd think carefully about why you've been designated as a bait, and I'm going to do things my way. Don't even think about tagging along. Huh. Do you really think you can even attempt to follow me? With my RK abilities?
accomplished? Or did you let it happen? As a feint, it worked well. But you mustn't let your guard down. Those Vulgus cyborgs have had quite a few upgrades recently. You may suddenly encounter powerful units that aren't in our database. Oh, we're definitely in Vulgus-occupied territory. There's no end to them.
High-level Vulgus closing in. We confirm it's a new Kuiper-enhanced variant.
Huh. It's built from the same material as the one we're after. Make a note in the operations log, number 17. Thanks to the enemies being drawn your way, infiltration is going smoothly. Good job.
The communications deception transmitter at the Vulgus base is operational. Descendant, you need to protect the transmitter while it is operating. If the diversion works, we can detain a number of enemies here. Multiple Vulgus are closing in on the transmitter. There's a high probability that this is the result of a communications diversion. Continue to engage them and stall for time as long as possible.
Take shelter!
Tactical target achieved. Mission accomplished, Descendant.
Transmitting to all Allied forces deployed to this operation. We have an urgent development, requesting backup. Number 17 has received details. All units are to head to the mining outpost.
Mission request from Colon Special Forces Agent number 17. Objective, secure a Vulgus sample. We need a Vulgus sample to study the recent technological improvements to Legion of Immortality units. This mission is also part of the diversion tactics. Sample secured. Vulgus seem to believe our actions are a simple offensive mission. The feint is working. Receiving info on mark. Position of Vulgus power plant confirmed. Mission request. Destruction of generators as a feint attack.
I heard Captain Harris let you in on a fun trick. Certain Legion of Immortality units have parts that can act as fuses. We can use those.
Probability of fuse parts, high. closing in. Request combat engagement. All generators disabled. Mission relay terminated.
I heard Captain Harris let you in on a fun trick. Certain Legion of Immortality units have parts that can act as fuses. We can use those.
Unstable energy flow detected. Probability of fuse parts, high. Vulgus carrying fuse parts confirmed. High-level Vulgus closing in. Request combat engagement. All generators disabled. Mission relay terminated. Number 17, Special Forces, at your service. Descendant, we have an urgent report on Sharon. Her current position is near the Vulgus munitions factory. Thanks to your diversionary tactics, she was able to reach the target safely, but the Vulgus have appeared. This is the sitrep recorded by Sharon's AC.
Operating arcade tracking matrix. Type of retrofitted active camouflage detected. Probability of zone infiltration high. Ironheart excavation site status. Quarantine at the highest level of security. Terminate the Descendant on site. Terminate. Terminate.
This cyborg Vulgus, Edelik, is a commando-level model specializing in defense missions. It's armed with arcade tracking functions. And it seems the Vulgus already know about the Ironheart excavation site. I was told that the Ancestors' data was tightly guarded at Kingston. If the Vulgus have gained access to it, however, then this rigorous level of security makes sense. For the moment, Sharon has requested an attack on the repository's core facility to lure the Vulgus commander. Once the Vulgus have vacated the factory, she intends to try and infiltrate it again. Descendant, you and Jeremy are to launch an attack on the repository.
Are you sure this guide can be trusted? Didn't you guys win at Kingston?
Descendant, I am at a loss for words. The Ancestors' data that the Vulgus obtained in Kingston was formatted in such a way that it could not be fully viewed until all of the data packets were combined. The Vulgus managed to transmit around 90% of the data. Defeating their commander prevented them from transmitting the remaining 10%. But they were able to reconstruct the missing 10% themselves and read all of the data. How was that possible? I need to analyze this. Descendant, you need to continue your search for the Ironheart excavation site. If the Vulgus enter it first, they may destroy the entire site after they find what they want. We must hurry.
How pathetic. A full operation for such a minor target? Guess the Special Forces aren't that special after all. I've sent you a more appropriate mark, so you can show me what you can really do with those highfalutin skills of yours. Get it together, come on!
Sending info on Mark. Target, Vulgus Kuiper storage tanks. Descendant, be advised, the storage tanks should not be detonated. The key objective is to disarm security and seize the Kuiper packs stored within. Vulgus used the rare metal Kuiper in a different way from us. Specifically, the way they process it causes massive contamination and contributes to the destruction of the environment in Ingris. Research to restore the environment is underway. To help this, you need to seize the Kuiper from the Vulcans. And if you can keep their commander occupied, even better. Storage tanks disabled. Mission relay terminated. Sending info on Mark. Target, Vulgus Kuiper storage tanks. Descendant, be advised, the storage tanks should not be detonated. The key objective is to disarm security and seize the Kuiper packs stored within. Vulgus used the rare metal Kuiper in a different way from us. Specifically, the way they process it causes massive contamination and contributes to the destruction of the environment in Ingris. Research to restore the environment is underway. To help this, you need to seize the Kuiper from the Vulgus. And if you can keep their commander occupied, even better.
Nice work with the support. I've managed to shake off their tracking. I'm scouting for intel around the factory. I've relayed the coordinates of the temporary outpost, requesting all units to regroup at the designated location, officially beginning infiltration operation.
Descendant, this place is a Kuiper mine that has been taken over by the Vulgus. The Vulgus' Kuiper mining methods are extremely aggressive and lead to devastating contamination. The ores we seize from them are unusable, so they must be destroyed. That storage box contains the Kuiper collected by the enemy. Opening it will reveal the contaminated Kuiper. Kuiper disassembler operation. Please destroy as much of the Vulgus Kuiper as possible. accomplished, Descendant. Application confirmed. One generator remaining. Descendant, a high-level Vulgus is heading toward the refinery. It's likely to be Kara.
Descendant located. Activating quantum hyper force field. Initiate elimination of the Descendant. Protect the refinery.
Descendant, this is a dangerous Vulgus. It will be best to eliminate it. Signal lost. I was hoping Ederlin would show up, but oh well. Thank you, Descendant.
Deactivating active camouflage. I'm alive, thanks to you. And you even found time to attack the Vulgus Kuiper facility. I've really gotta hand it to you. Oh yeah, how did I manage to get the slip on Ederlich? He retreated as soon as the battle at the mining site was over and headed toward a facility. It looked like he'd planned to do so from the beginning. I wondered what he was up to, but he actually did us a favor in the end. I think the Ironheart excavation site is underneath that facility. A pretty hastily built structure? Check. Multiple security devices guarding the entrance? Check. Commander-level Vulgus disappearing inside? You can see how it all adds up, right? I need to assign missions to all operatives to shut down the facility's multiple security devices. It'll require specific procedures, but I've had experience in dismantling many of these types of devices. Let's move. We need to get in there before the Vulgus can do anything to the excavation site.
I have to admit, not even my arcade can penetrate the quantum barrier of these security devices. Those rust buckets have put some thought into this.
Operation status, jammer installation complete. Using the jammer to neutralize the distress signal set by Etterlink should allow us to bypass one of the Vulgus' security measures. Your task is to protect the jammer while I work. Operation status, jammer installation complete. Using the jammer to neutralize the distress signal sent by Ederlich should allow us to bypass one of the Vulgus' security measures. Your task is to protect the jammer while I work. Protecting the jammer is your top priority. You can disable their security devices if it's destroyed. Target achieved. Enemy security devices disabled. Mission accomplished.
This is Sharon. All Vulgus security levels have been successfully deactivated. All units regroup at my position to investigate the Ironheart's excavation site.
Regroup? Huh. Yeah, I don't think so. I think I'll sit this one out, Sharon.
What did you say? To bypass the multi-stage security system, you'll need a unique authentication sequence used by the Legion of Immortality. You need to collect samples from the Legion in good condition and put them in the supply box. These will be analyzed in Albion, and they'll send us a sequence we can use for security authentication. The authentication sequence is as good as secured. Good job.
is the blast generator. Keep going through that.
Concentrate defensive forces and power facility. Send high-level firepower units. The Descendants must be stopped. Execute them.
Power has been deactivated. Security system coming. Tactical target achieved. Terminating mission relay.
That's the Vulgus barracks, which I was assigned to take out. They said if we didn't destroy their base, it would allow them to counterattack or something. But what a shame. I have no more rounds. Why don't you finish up for me while you're here? It was kind of boring, to be honest. I've destroyed the main passages. You only have to deal with the remaining troops. And hey, Kolomaki, why don't you go ahead and send the operational relay when you get there as well? Oh, and make sure to credit me for it.
Vulgus reinforcements detected. Internal facilities destroyed by Jeremy. Vulgus reinforcements closing. Found the advanced attack to reduce their forces. We'll be surrounded by now. there, Descendant. Keep out of it.
Barracks unrecoverable. Defense failed.
You've done it, Descendant. Mission relay terminated.
get to the point. It seems as if all of you have forgotten, so I'll repeat myself one more time, since they're here too. It looks like it'll be a guide-related mission from this point on, which means I can't have anything to do with it, right? You're the one who told me I should be in a supporting role, Sharon. Yeah? Since I can't connect to the guide. Report that to HQ however you like. It's not like they have a cell that can hold me, do they? Oh, nah. Maybe I will sit in a cell and get some rest. It's been a while. Last time I was there, it was really fun. I'm not sure who blabbed about my secret operation, but had it been carried out, not only would we have the Iron Heart, but Corell's heart as well. I guess that's just my little walk down memory lane. Have fun with your imaginary friend. Peace.
Sharon, give me the order and I will track him.
Let him be. Jeremy's RK ability is teleporting.
Descendant, although it was not my intention, there seems to be a misunderstanding with Jeremy. I do not choose who I am linked with. The process follows strict directives woven into RK by the ancestors. I have no knowledge of the details of these directives, nor am I capable of ignoring them. If I were able to alter those directives, would I have been able to resolve this misunderstanding with Jeremy? Could I ease Alpha's suspicions? The human mind is difficult to comprehend. It feels like a mass of powerful energy surrounded by a resilient defense mechanism, almost like an Iron Heart. I apologize for occupying your time before an important operation. I will focus on the emergency restoration protocol and remain on standby. I hope I can bring results that reflect the level of effort you have put into this operation.
You'll need to leave first, Descendant. Sharon's prosthesis has been damaged from excessive RK use. We'll join you as soon as we can.
Don't worry. You've seen what they're capable of. I hope these repairs can be done quickly.
So this is the Iron Heart excavation site that was documented in the Ancestors' data. As you must know, the Iron Hearts are mysterious entities that somehow made their way to Ingris. They were first discovered by the architects. The Iron Hearts were passed down to the Ancestors, my creators, and the forebears of the Descendants. We don't know why the Ancestors hid all the Iron Hearts. But this much is certain. I was created in order to lead you to them. After that, well, we'll come to that once we find you an Iron Heart. unusual energy flow nearby. These are traces of Ironheart excavation. Ironheart microparticles confirmed. Initiating emergency restoration protocols to repair damaged systems. Descendant, we have retrieved Ironheart elements from the excavation site. Next, I must... This is a different excavation site. I need to introduce the quantum monolith, a data processor belonging to the ancestors. This device contains my restoration data, which can be copied using Ironheart microparticles. I can guide you there.
Next.
However, to access the quantum monolith, Descendant, I must undergo authentication here first. I should still have access, as it was my system and memories that were damaged. Keep the August at bay while the authentication is in progress.
Initiating facility lockdown procedures.
Passageways are being blocked across the facility. I'll do my best to find a way out, but it won't be easy to maneuver. Please be careful. Excavation site. There must have been countless experiments conducted here using the Ironhearts. Emergency restoration protocols would have been one of them.
Executing Legion of Immortality General Abrams orders.
Defeat the Vulcans.
Something there now.
Victory belongs to the Legion. Victory belongs to the Legion. You are I will disconnect biosignals. I will eliminate. You will cease attack. Reaction mode. Victory belongs to the Legion. Adjusting I will disconnect your BIOS. You cannot achieve again. Victory is the Legion. The void corrosion has encroached upon my Legion.
That is because of an unknown error. It will be fixed momentarily. Complete. The security threat has been neutralized. I have completed all preparations as you commanded.
Begin.
The Legion will be reborn through the Iron Heart.
Rise, my warriors! Give your lives for Clipper! vanguard for me, Al-Zarok. I will stand at the vanguard of the Legion. Al-Zarok submits to Lord Karel's command. Anna, transport the Ironheart to my fortress. Initiate the data inversion immediately.
Descendant, even though the Vulgus managed to access the data first, I have been able to restore one of my core functions through the emergency restoration protocol. I am finally able to detect the Ironheart. Let me explain this function and how to utilize it.